Welcome, and thank you for joining us for today's webinar, Increase Your Leads by 50%, Leveraging A/B Testing and How the Brain Works. My name is Eliana Raggio, and I'll be your moderator today. And today's webinar is being presented by DealerOn. And for anyone who isn't familiar with DealerOn, well, we're an award-winning website development company and digital agency best known for our search engine optimization, best-in-class customer service, and our award-winning websites. DealerOn was named the top-rated website provider by Driving Sales in 2012, and DealerOn customers were winners of the Spring and Fall 2012 Digital Dealer Website Excellence Awards. I am hearing a lot of background noise. Okay, here we go. DealerOn is so committed to lead conversion, optimization, and customer service, we're the only company in the industry to offer a money-back lead guarantee program. So if your website company isn't guaranteeing you leads, well then maybe you should check us out at DealerOn.com. And we have a great show in store for you today. We're very pleased to have Amir Amirrezvani as our presenter today. Amir Amirrezvani is the co-founder and executive vice president of DealerOn, which is focused on helping auto dealers increase the effectiveness of their online marketing efforts. Amir oversees the client results team for DealerOn. A seasoned retail sales veteran, Amir has an impressive track record of process development and sales management. Prior to DealerOn, he had 15 years of hands-on experience working with large dealer groups such as Tuyl and Darcars Automotive groups, which allowed him to gain extensive experience in training, devising CRM strategies, and managing SEO and SEM campaigns. Amir is an avid traveler and speaker and can be reached at amir@dealeron.com. Now, during the presentation, if you have any questions, please use the question feature located on the corner of your screen to submit them. At the end of the presentation, we'll answer those questions of general interest. If we're unable to get to your question live, well, we'll respond by email to you later today. Also, don't forget, a link to download a copy of the webinar recording will also be emailed to you later today for your reference, and please feel free to share it with friends and colleagues. And Amir, are you still there?
I'm here.
Okay, there we go. DealerOn is going to be at the upcoming NADA convention in Orlando. So if you're going to be there, well, we want to see you. So come by and visit us at booth 3259, and let's talk about websites, SEO, digital marketing, conversion rates, whatever. I'm going to be there. Amir's going to be there. We'd love to meet you. And we're going to be giving away tickets to NADA's Ultimate Party at the Blue Martini Nightclub on Saturday, February 9th from 9 p.m. to whenever. And if it wasn't enough of a reason to come visit us, you got to stop by our booth anytime between February 8th and the 11th and speak with a DealerOn representative, and you could win our grand prize. It's a free franchise website for 1 full year valued at $18,000. Check out the speaking session from Jeff Clark. He's our EVP of Business Development here at DealerOn, and he's going to be talking about digital strategies to double your fixed ops profits. And guess what? DealerOn is also giving away a fantastic prize today on this webinar to one very lucky attendee. What is it? DealerOn is giving away a free franchise website on our award-winning platform for 1 full year. No strings attached. It's valued at $18,000, and this is the biggest thing I have ever given away. So all of you have to stay tuned for the details. It's going to be after Amir's presentation that we will award this amazing prize. And also at the conclusion of the webinar, you're going to receive a short survey. Please fill it out because we're always looking for great feedback from our audience. And today we're going to randomly select a couple of people from all the completed surveys to also win some Google prizes. So let's get started. Let's learn how to increase our leads by 50%. Amir, how are you today?
I am excellent, Eliana. Thank you so much for that introduction. You always do such a fantastic job with these webinars. I am extremely excited to present this material. I caught a little bit of a cold on the way down there. I sat next to somebody who was sneezing all over me on the airplane. But if you bear with me, I've got a lot of information to condense into a short amount of time, so I'll bring my A game, I promise.
I love it. I love it. Where do we get started?
Okay, let's do it. All right, today I'm going to talk to you about a topic that I am very passionate about. This is talking about A/B testing and how the brain works. I'm going to go over specific techniques in this presentation that you can implement on your website to see a minimum of a 20% lift in lead conversion. I'll talk a little bit about theory, a little bit about neuroscience, but most importantly, I'm going to jump into specific actionable ideas that you can incorporate on your website. And more importantly, I'm going to teach you where to get the tools and how to use the tools to conduct your own A/B tests so that you're not going to be at the mercy of your website provider to really be responsible for making sure that your website is consistently optimized for maximum interaction and for conversion. And before I get into this, I just want to jump into real quickly. Eliana did a great job about introducing me and the company, so I'm not going to spend any time on this at all. Just keep in mind that for a long time prior to starting DealerOn, I spent a lot of time in the dealerships and worked every position. So the strategies we'll talk about today will come from a retail perspective, and you can trust that they've been tested and implemented in stores all around the country. All right. So before we go into a presentation about conversion, I think it's very important because there's many different definitions of what your conversion rate is that I take a minute and explain to you for the sake of this presentation what it is that I'm defining as a conversion. All right. So very simply for this presentation, we're going to calculate conversion as how many of these guys come to your website and turn into these guys. So what I mean by that is basically we have two types of conversion. We have micro conversions, and those are simply things that are very important things to measure intent and engagement. Someone visits your VDP page, your vehicle details page, that's a good thing. That's a micro conversion. If someone clicks on your maps and hours, that's a good thing. They're not going to be going to that page unless they have some intent on visiting you. That's a good thing. And obviously for service, if someone goes to your service specials and prints a coupon, that's also considered a very good thing. But that is not what we're going to be really talking about today. We're going to be talking about the macro conversions. All right, these are specific things that we can measure that lead to interaction with somebody on the other end of the spectrum. So specifically for this presentation, we're going to talk about form submissions. Now, the average conversion rate on a dealer website, this is according to data provided to us from Dadium. Now, Dadium is a third-party source that has coded over 13,000 dealer websites and has submitted information back to us to give us an indication of how dealers are converting right now. But I'm going to share with you right now across 13,000 websites what the average form submission, lead to visitor conversion rate is. But before I do that, I'd like to get an indication from the people on this call what your conversion rate is. So this would be a great time for me to just get some audience feedback through a poll.
I think that's a great question. Okay, everyone, you heard Amir. We want to know, what is your current website conversion rate? And please select just one of the following. Is it less than 2%? Is it between 2 and 4%? Is it between 4 and 6%? Is it between 6 and 8%? Or are you one of those few people who is doing over 8% of a website conversion rate? We want to know. So real quickly, while people are voting, because we're going to wait for a majority of the votes to come in before we close the poll, Amir,
now while you're voting, keep in mind we're talking about no phone calls here, simply the percentage, take the number of unique visitors that you get per month, divided by your total lead volume, and that should come out to a percentage.
Okay. You know what? Almost everyone's voted at this point, so let me close this poll and share the results. And let's see what our savvy audience has to say. Well, 40% of today's audience said that they're somewhere between 2 and 4%. 33% of today's audience said they're more like 4% to 6%. 7% of today's audience said that they're somewhere between 6 and 8%. And 20% of today's audience, 20%, said that they're over 8%. One could assume that they're all DealerOn clients. What do you think, Amir?
Well, hopefully not the ones that were in the 2%. But that, you know what, that is, I think we've got a very savvy audience on the line today because that information is pretty consistent with the data that's available to us today. So thank you for sharing that. And the ones on the higher end of that spectrum, I would love to have a conversation with offline, because there are some really, these are people that are really paying attention to their website. These guys are probably testing landing pages. They're probably doing A/B testing. And in our industry, that's extremely rare. So thank you for you advanced dealers for taking the time to be on this webinar. I still think there's a few things I can teach you on this presentation that you may not have considered testing in the future, so listen closely when we get to that part of the presentation. For the sake of all the other participants, Dadium has reported to us that the average conversion rate is actually less than 2% across 13,000 dealership websites. Now, the good news there is that there's plenty of room for improvement there. Actually, if you look at some of the top performing dealers that we have access to their data, we've seen dealers out there performing more than 4 times the national average. And some of the benefits that come along with having a high conversion website, I'm going to get into in a moment. But basically, keep this in mind. The average dealer website gets about 4,000 unique visitors per month. This is all across all different manufacturers and geographic areas. So this could be a rural dealership in Wisconsin and a high traffic dealership in New York City. But across the board, 4,000 is the average. And we also have from NADA's data that says that dealers convert about 15% of the leads that they generate from their website. So on average, when you look at your website leads, if you look in your CRM or your DMS, you will see that if you're an average performing dealership website, that your website leads will be responsible for only 12 cars sold per month. All right? And if you are one of those top performing dealers that we mentioned, there's about 7% of them on this call, and we showed you 3 of them there on that last graph that are doing 8% or higher conversion. With the same number of visitors, with the same ad spend, they're actually able to generate 48 car deals off leads generated from their website. Now, this is a huge lift. We're talking about 36% more incremental sales without spending an additional penny on pay-per-click advertising, on SEO, on banner ads. This is you simply leveraging the traffic you currently have on your website. So that's a lot of potential upside there, and we're going to get into some of the techniques here very shortly. I know if you're like me on this call and you're more driven by dollars and cents, let me break it down a little bit further. Okay, assume we're working with a $10,000 per month online ad budget, which is really pretty conservative. You would have to spend 4 times as much to sell the same amount of cars as somebody whose website converts at 8% than you would at someone whose website converts at 2%. So that's a lot more money that you need to invest in online marketing if you just would take a little more time to focus on optimizing your website rather than just blindly buying all the traffic you can get your hands on. All right, now I take this data and cues and information from a lot of different companies outside of our space when I come up with ideas on what to test and how to optimize websites. Especially e-commerce websites. They offer some of the best insights. What I found outside the automotive industry is that most companies conduct less than 2 tests per month. Okay, this is high-tech companies that really took this poll. So if you think that most high-tech companies can conduct less than 2 tests per month, you could probably feel pretty comfortable that dealers aren't even doing 2 tests per year. Now, the greatest converting website in the world is Amazon.com. And one of the reasons why is A, they cloned the term A/B testing, and we're the very first company to ever conduct an A/B test, and they conduct more than 200 A/B and multivariate tests per month. What I am challenging you to do today on this call is to make a commitment to yourself and make a commitment to the dealership and to your website provider that you will try and conduct 2 tests per month, either on your home page, your vehicle details page, or your inventory search results, to try to continue to push the envelope when it comes to conversion. Now, most companies out there are spending about $92 on generating traffic to their website to every $1 spent on conversion. Again, Amazon.com spends only $20 to every $1 they spend on optimizing their site and on conversion. Okay? So what I'd like to see what happen in our industry is we get closer to spending $50 to every $1 or $40 to every $1 and become a lot more conscious and wise about how we spend our advertising dollar. And the reason why testing is so important is because I could get up here and preach to you all day long about myths and facts and best practices about conversion, and we'll go through a couple of them with you right now. But what works on one website in one part of the country selling one particular brand does not necessarily work on another part of the country selling a different brand. So the only way you can find out what works best on your website is through testing. Now, many of you probably have heard that green buttons convert better than any other color. Green means go. Green's the color of money. I'm sure you've probably thought about changing your colors, your submit buttons from green to red at some point. Well, we've tested that on multiple different websites, and we found that answer to be that sometimes green converts better, other times it doesn't. It has a lot to do with the other color components that your website incorporates. You probably heard that the red buttons at some point or another convert better than any other content on your website. And we did some testing there as well, and we found that maybe red converts better on a Honda site, but typically on a lot of Toyota sites, red doesn't convert better because Toyota uses a lot of red in their color scheme, and the red button does not stand out as a clear, obvious call to action. You might have heard that orange buttons convert better, and AutoTrader conducted a huge survey and got up in their national conference and said orange is the best color, and we tested that as well. And again, our results prove that possibly orange converts, and sometimes it doesn't convert that well. So this was just an exercise to let you know that if anyone tells you to do one specific type of test on your website, you will never know if that works for you until you try it for yourself. One thing that does hold true, at least we thought, and we went ahead and optimized all of our forums across, over 1,200 websites, and we know basic internet marketing principles tells you if you minimize the number of information you collect on a form, what I mean is eliminate unnecessary form fields, this will almost always lead to an increase in conversion. And we found that that usually was the case. So every form field we removed from a lead capture form helped us increase conversion by about 8%, with the exception of one. And that form was the comments field. We found that when we removed the comments field, it actually reduced conversion because people actually wanted to submit some specific personal information or inquiries we found. So something to keep in mind. Before we get into talking a little bit more about the technical side of website conversion and getting really into the case studies and the A/B split testing, I want to make sure that everyone on this call, regardless of their background, has a good idea of what A/B testing is. And A/B testing is simply a software program that either is built into the website admin of your existing website provider. It's something that they offer, which would be great, and that way you don't have to spend any additional money on buying expensive third-party software, or it's something that your website provider does not offer and you have to go and invest in these software tools, but there's definitely a lot of value in doing that, and I'll give you some recommendations towards the end of the call. But all this software does is it generates a snippet of code, JavaScript, that you can add to your own website, and this will allow you to very easily and seamlessly change variations of your website without actually making any change or having any design or programming background whatsoever. So if you want to go to your home page and you want to change the color of your call to action from red to green, you simply would log into the software program and you'd click a button and say change this from red to green, and then 50% of your visitors that come to your website would see the red button and 50% would see the green button, and you'd be able to collect all that data, and after you reach what's called statistical significance, you'll receive an alert from that software that will tell you that X number of people, more people, clicked on the red button and X number of more people converted because of a result of you changing that button color from one color to another. So there are some specific techniques you need to know to operate the software, but otherwise it's extremely user-friendly. All you want to do is make sure that A, you don't change too many variables at one time, and B, you let the test run long enough in order to be able to make a definitive decision depending upon what the outcome is. So you may see a 12% increase on version A, a 10% increase on version B, and ultimately you need to choose what your conversion goal is and pick the right, the winning treatment, and then go back to your website and take the time and effort to update your website based upon what your A/B testing software concluded during that test. So very simple, that's A/B testing. It's very easy and should be part of every website update you make, no matter how big or small. I highly recommend. The traffic is so expensive these days. You A/B test your website before making any significant changes to your platform. All right. So this is an iceberg. All right, and this iceberg here represents the human brain. Okay, and we're going to talk a little bit about neuroscience and neuromarketing to help us gain insights and inspiration on what we should be testing moving forward. Okay, much like an iceberg, you only see 5% of the iceberg as above water. And just like your brain, you only use 5% of your brain to control your conscious thought. So your day-to-day activities, your thinking, your rationalizing, that's all of that brain activity is only responsible for 5% of your brain. The other 95% of your brain, much like this iceberg, is all submerged underwater, meaning that our brain, most of our day-to-day function is all on a subconscious level. We wake up in the morning, we brush our teeth, we take a shower, we make our breakfast, we drive to work, all on autopilot. Okay? We browse the internet on autopilot. So it's really important to understand this, that when you're creating your web pages, when you're creating your ad copy, your calls to action, that you realize that people are probably not reading 95% of the stuff that you're putting on your website unless you do this in a strategic way to break through all of the subconscious activity that's taking place on the website and appeal to the part of the brain that actually responds and makes decisions and processes incoming information. I'm sure we've all heard about the concept of banner blindness. This is a real neurological concept that over years and years being bombarded with ads on our website, we've actually become immune to a lot of advertising, and we don't read them, we don't click on them, we don't interact with them. So, looking a little bit deeper on the human brain, I'm going to talk to you a little bit about the part of the brain that's responsible for making all the decisions and how to stimulate that part of the brain. So the brain is actually made up of 3 different layers. And marketers, we refer to these as your 3 different brains. We have your new brain, which is that 5% of your brain that is also known as a neocortex. It's the part above water that actually thinks and processes rational data, but then it shares its deductions with your 2 other brains. Your second layer is your middle brain. This is also known as your limbic system. This brain is responsible for all of your emotions, your feelings, and your gut feelings, your instincts. This brain responds really well to messages that are multimedia and are images and human faces. We'll talk a little bit about how to stimulate the limbic system. But the most important part of the brain is the part of the brain which is really above your vertebrae in the back of your head. It's your reptilian brain. We also call it the brain stem. This is the decision maker in your mind. So it takes input from the new brain, it takes input from the middle brain, and makes the final decision. This part of the brain controls your heart rate. This part of your brain controls your digestion. And most importantly, we share this with our reptilian ancestors, it represents your fight or flight response. And learning how to stimulate your reptilian brain is one of the smartest things you can do when designing a website. And real quickly, I'm not going to spend too much time on this, but the key things to know about the reptilian brain is that it's very self-centered. It's all about me, me, me. All it cares about is its own survival and well-being. It likes contrast, so things that are black and white, fast and slow. Anything that's vague confuses the reptilian brain. It likes things that are friendly and recognizable. If you go one day and completely change the navigation structure of your website, the reptilian brain is going to get confused. It's not going to be familiar with this form of navigation and will potentially shut down and move on. Also, remember that it only remembers things, it has a very short attention span and only remembers things in the beginning and end. So put your most important content above the page and then reinforce it again below the page. Also keep in mind when you're creating your sub-navigation, if you want someone to go into an inventory search, make sure that the inventory search is the very first thing that you offer your sub-nav. And then again, if you want to reinforce it at the very end, that might be a good strategy. Very visual and emotional. Strong triggers to things like video, images, and we'll talk about how to incorporate those into your case studies, into these next case studies to be able to take advantage of that fact. All right. If you are in a very competitive market, as I know most of you are, and you are using tools and your competitors are using tools like vAuto, you're getting into price wars with your competition. It becomes harder and harder to start offering incentives to your customers to further discount your vehicles. So a lot of times to increase conversion, we recommend that you give $300 off your best price or give a gift card or give something like that, and those are all some of the most effective and valuable offers. But what I want to do today is go a step beyond that. I want to tap into neuromarketing principles that will allow you to get a higher conversion by making your prices seem lower and not by actually lowering your prices. And here's how we'll do that. What I'm showing you right now is an experiment that we did with dealers that only show MSRP on their vehicles on new cars. Okay? Believe it or not, with all this study, all this talk about transparency and pricing, there's still a large number of dealers out there that are gross-oriented and they don't want to give up their best price online. So all they would show is an MSRP. So we decided to test how much business they actually costing themselves or gaining by employing the strategy. So we tested displaying MSRP versus displaying MSRP and your internet price. Okay, this may potentially cost you the opportunity to hold some gross on this customer by displaying this price online, but will it lead to higher conversions? And after conducting a nationwide test, we found that by having further transparency online and displaying your MSRP and your internet price, you can see a 13% lift in lead conversion. Okay, is that 13% more leads worth the impact that you have on your gross profits? That is up for you to decide. All I can do is tell you what's the best way to capture more interaction on your website and get more leads. But now let's take it to the variation be the treatment. This was our attempt to optimize this process so that you could have the best of both worlds. What we've done here is we've introduced a third option to this test. Variation B takes the same exact pricing minus $1. And what we've done, and I'm not sure if you can really notice this on your screen or not, but we've taken the MSRP and we've increased the font size on that price. And we've added a comma and we've added a .00. So what we're doing is we're making the MSRP appear to be a larger number by increasing the font size. Then we make the internet price appear to be a smaller number or a lower price by reducing the size of the font, and we change the .00 at the end. We remove that and we change the price by $1, making it end in a 99. Then we put more emphasis on the you save. We put the you save in the biggest font size. We added a 00, and we optimized the focus on this particular price, on this particular treatment, on the you save, not the MSRP and the internet price. And by doing that, we saw a huge 28% increase in conversion over just displaying MSRP. So, just to reiterate what we did here is we increased the size of the font to make the prices seem smaller, or reduce the size of the font to make them seem lower. We added commas and decimal points to make the size seem larger, and removed them to make them seem smaller. All right. Another case study that we did here is we took your typical vehicle details page on one of our websites. This is a well-optimized form that we've done a lot of testing on. The problem here is once we optimize a page on behalf of our clients, they start to begin to add and remove things that may or may not work in their advantage or disadvantage. So in this particular example, the customer decided that they wanted to increase the number of trade-in leads that they get by taking valuable real estate on their vehicle details page and putting a huge banner on top. When we wanted to go in and try to lift conversion for this client, we recommended that rather than adding additional banners or graphics or calls to action, that he's tried to increase the clarity of this page by removing banners and calls to action. And putting more emphasis on the vehicle photo, because we know that the reptilian brain likes images and videos. So we redesigned this page and removed that banner from the top. We removed those competing additional calls to action on the left, and we enlarged the size of the vehicle photo. We also incorporated some of the pricing display strategies we talked about with the use save and the MSRP. We also took the call to action and we tried to switch colors and make it more prominent. Aside from that, we left everything else the same. By making the site a little bit more clear, concise, and obvious, and a little less cluttered, we saw a 21% lift in conversion. Okay, so these are some examples of things that you can do on your own website to try to increase conversion, as long as you keep two very easy principles in mind. Whenever you make a change, you're either trying to you want to increase clarity, or you want to remove distraction. And as long as those two things become your goal, then you should probably have a pretty good test on your hands. Another case study, this one was pretty incredible, and I'd really like to find out from the audience a little bit more information before I jump right into it. But we took a credit application from a dealer website of ours, and we wanted to optimize it so we could get more leads from it. And what I'd like to know from the audience is how many on this call, people on this call, are using a long-form credit application that looks like this. And Eliana, if you could take us through a poll, I'd love to know this information.
I think that's a great question. All right, audience, we want to know. Check out this this credit application form. Just check it out for a minute, and I'm going to launch the poll right now. And the question is, are you currently using a long-form credit application on your dealership website like the one in the before example? And please just select one of the following answers. Is it yes I am, no I'm not, or you know what, I just don't know. So whatever
so
the
it doesn't
answer,
have to look exactly like this, but does your credit application currently ask for about 25 fields of information all at once? That's basically what I'm trying to determine on this poll.
Yeah, that's what we want to know. And we have people writing, and don't write into me, vote, vote, vote. But we do have a friend of the show, Joey. He wrote in, it doesn't convert like that. Okay, Joey, we'll see, we'll see. We'll see what Amir has to say. I'm sure he did the testing. I'm pretty excited to see what the answers are to this one. So you know what? With the majority of our attendees today already voting, we're going to close this poll and share the results. So 55% of today's audience said yes, they do have a long-form credit application. 45% said no, they don't.
Great. Well, hopefully after I share with you some of the data from this case study, that percentage will sway a little bit more towards not using this form as the optimal way of capturing this information. Because what we found when we tried to optimize this form for a client of ours that was really looking to increase the amount of second chance business they did is we first took a look at this and said, all right, there's some serious inherent problems with capturing this information. And I know why we develop forms like this, and I know why we use forms like this, but I think we can do a lot better job. A, this form has no headline. There's no value proposition. The call to action is submit. There's no benefit to the consumer for filling it out. And it's also very, very long and asks for a lot of information up front. So what we did is we decided that we would add a headline and a subheadline, and we would take the form and we would break it up into 3 different steps. The very first step, we were going to collect the information that's absolutely necessary for us to be able to follow up with this customer. And that's the first name, last name, email, and the phone number. Then we decided we were going to update that call to action, and rather than use submit, we would use click to go to the next step, so that we're being transparent to the fact that there is more information we need to acquire. We also have found through doing some testing here that video on this particular form does help increase conversion. So we added a video of a girl that resembles, the girl next door, and she just comes out and puts your mind at ease that we will not share your personal information with anyone, and that your social security information and personal information is being collected through a secure server. All right, then we did the second step of the form. We asked for a little bit of more information, and we also added a security icon to emphasize the fact that their information is protected. Then we asked for a little bit more information, and again, we re-emphasized the trust factor here, that your information is protected. And finally, we saw a 300% increase in the number of credit applications that were collected by taking this process, adding a headline, adding a subheadline, some video, and a stronger call to action. There are some really good third-party credit application tools that you can go out and purchase and just plug into your website. So you don't have to really spend a whole lot of money or do a bunch of custom programming to take advantage of this technique. And there has never been a day, I tell you to test everything, and what may work in this market may not work in that market. This works in every market, every type of consumer, wherever you happen to display it. It converts significantly higher than if you ask for all the information at once. And I'll move on to another case study.
300%, that's incredible.
So we can get through this information quickly. I'm sorry, Elena, I talked over you. What did you say?
I said 300% is incredible. Really quick question on that slide. Every time they click to go to the next step, that information is saved, or it saves it until the very, very end?
That is an excellent comment. What happens is we save all the information that is collected on the very first page, which is the information we need to submit it back to you as a lead. And then about 10 to 12% of the time, you will see drop-off after the first page. So you will receive some incomplete credit applications as a result of doing it this way. But what we found is if you call the customer back and say that I recognize that we lost you towards the middle of the application, I just need a few more fields of information from you so that I can get you pre-approved in seconds, it's usually a pretty smooth phone call.
That's amazing. 300%. Everyone should be doing that. Okay, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Okay. So now, not every case study we're going to talk about today is going to yield that kind of result, but that one is just a pretty obvious one I want to make sure I share with you. Here's something that's a little bit more subtle, but equally as effective. Here's just a basic lead collection form that you would see on any typical dealer website. I like this particular website platform because A, I think this company does a good job, and B, this is a publicly traded company that has hundreds of dealerships using this particular form. Now, right off the bat, in looking at this form, there are some things right away that I could think of to testing to try and improve conversion. We always start with looking at the motivation on the page. All right, so the obvious is the call to action. Right now, this says request more info. That's not terrible. I've seen worse, but it's also not extremely compelling. It doesn't get me excited to want to give up my personal information. So the first thing I'd probably test is a different call to action here. Then I notice on this left-hand side, there's all this competing navigation. we've already got the person to click on a button to request more information. So giving them any option to do anything other than request information is not optimal and could be construed as a distraction. So I would remove all these elements right here. And then I'm looking at the form fields. We talked about minimizing the number of fields. I look at the bottom and I see something like best time to contact and time zone, and I'm really wondering how much value does that provide the dealership when when calling the customer back. So together those would equate to about 15 or 16% drop in conversion. So I would definitely eliminate those two form fields. And again, nobody likes submit to anything. Submit is not a strong call to action, and it does not correlate with the headline of this page. So what I would do is design a form to look a little more like this, and we did this for this client, and we saw, and I'll tell you what we saw in a minute, but I'll go through this. We basically took request more info and we changed it to request a sale price. A little more compelling. It's not telling the customer that the price is any less, but it's just giving them the indication that, hey, maybe I could save, this may be a demo, this may be an overage unit, this may have an incentive on it. So let me enter my information so I can find out some more details. We also put a subheadline that says we provide savings on our vehicle based on current inventory supply. Check and see if this vehicle qualifies for further reduced price. Again, we're now selling the conversion and why they should engage. We remove those two form fields at the bottom, and we change the call to action to get your sale price from submit. This resulted in a 130% increase in conversion by simply alleviating some distraction, minimizing some form fields, and optimizing the call to action. The next case study I want to talk to you about is the power of social proof and the power of referrals. We have seen the impact of getting your reputation management strategy in place, and it's been significant for things like SEO. It's been significant for all different areas of online marketing. Reviews have played a real positive role. What I'm here to talk to you about today is how can you incorporate your testimonials onto your main high traffic areas of your website to try to increase conversion. So in this case study, we're showing you a vehicle details page where someone decided to pipe in their 10 most recent positive reviews from DealerOn directly onto their vehicle details page. And they've got it strategically located right next to a form. So what they've done here is they've decided to test what impact would it have if they were to display these reviews right at the point where they're asking for contact information. Now there's a little bit of movement, which you can't see on this slide, which is these reviews are scrolling. So the movement automatically catches your eye, and we've done heat map studies that shows that people immediately start to mouse over these reviews once this page loads. And we saw that when adding the reviews, conversion shot up by about 20%. So we felt like that was very promising. By just adding reviews to VDP, we could get 20% lift. So we wanted to see if we could stimulate the reptilian brain even further, and if by scrolling text-based reviews we can get a 20% lift, what would happen if we replaced the text-based reviews with video testimonials? So we take the same exact treatment, and all we did is replaced these scrolling reviews, text-based reviews, with a video customer testimonial on this particular model. So basically, you would have to go in, if you have 12 different models, you'd have to record 12 different customers that bought that model and upload this video testimonial on this page to conduct this test for yourself. And when we did it for this Nissan dealer, we saw a 42% lift in conversion over not having any reviews at all. So no reviews, we saw about a 20% lift. I don't remember the exact number, but when you took the reviews from text and incorporated video, we saw an additional 22%. So that was pretty compelling, and a review that, a test that I highly recommend you look into. Here's something interesting because I think it affects a lot of people on this call. The same dealership was using a lot of rotating homepage images. Despite from, making the site load a little slower, I thought it was also adding an element of distraction to their homepage. Because ultimately what we want to do on this page is we want to funnel people into inventory search. So just clicking through to these various different slides, as a lot of dealers like to do, I wasn't sure was the best user experience. So I did some research and I checked with some of the leaders in the space of conversion rate optimization and some of the best retailers out there. And I found that less and less people are using these randomly scrolling banners on their homepage, and they're opting for using just one image, but using some behavioral information to determine which image to display to what consumer. So in this instance, if the customer went to Google and typed in Nissan Frontier, then it would just load the image of a Nissan Frontier. If we identify that they put in their oil change special, maybe it would load up a banner of an oil change special, and it would not rotate 10 different images hoping that you land on the right one at the right time. By testing the behavioral methodology versus what the standard process is right now in most dealerships, we saw that 27% more people engaged in inventory search as opposed to going to any different part of the dealer website or bouncing from the page. So it reduced bounce rate and increased engagement with our inventory search widget on that page. So something you may want to think about if you're one of those dealers that is randomly showing multiple images without any sort of intelligence behind it, is there a better user experience you could try to get more people to go past the first page of your website? Here is a study that I'm really excited about. I'll tell you up front, I don't have the results to this test because it's currently has not reached statistical significance. But we are getting some real positive indications that this will work well on a dealership website. There's some folks over at lemonfree.com, Vast, and AOL Autos and KBB came together and tested this on an automotive portal site. So I think there's a good chance if it worked on an automotive portal site that it could potentially work really well on a dealer site. But basically, what we've tested is our standard optimized lead collection form against a natural language form, or what we call a Mad Libs form. And what the Mad Libs form would do with a natural language form would take your standard form collection page and would add a human touch to it. So it'll say, hi, my name is John Smith, and I'm writing to you today to learn more about a Toyota Avalon listed at $18,950. My email address is, I'd like to hear back from you as soon as possible. You can reach me at this number at your earliest convenience. So on the automotive portal sites, a lot of them have permanently changed all their lead collection forms to this particular implementation and are seeing a 25% lift in conversion, which when you're talking about over 2 million visitors per month, that is a huge lift in lead volume for a company like that. And we wanted to see if the same would hold true on a dealer website, and we're testing that right now. And hopefully by day 1 or day 2 of NADA, we will have collected enough data where we can announce the results of this particular test. All right, so we talk a lot about landing pages, and we get probably 15 or 20 requests per day from our dealers to create landing pages on their behalf, or our dealers are logging into our system and are creating landing pages themselves, which is a very simple process if you know what to do and you can follow 6 easy steps. But the one thing that I want to urge against is going out and spending thousands of dollars on a PPC campaign or an email marketing campaign to drive traffic to a specific page on your website, but then spending less than 15 or 20 minutes to create the landing page where you're spending all this traffic to drive people to. So I thought I'd just step you through a 6-step easy process to creating a very effective landing page. So this would be how you may create a landing page for a PPC campaign. So first thing you want to do is look closely at your paid search ad and see how much information you can extract from this ad to create your landing page so it's as relevant as possible to what the customer clicked on and what he's searching for. So the first thing we want to do is craft a call to action. So by looking at this ad, we came up with the call to action, get your internet price quote now. All right, we just simply took from this ad and we created a button out of it. Step 2, and we didn't write the ad, so we're just taking the information provided to us. Your SEM company will write the ad. We'll just design the landing page to get the maximum value out of that. So step 2, we now have a call to action. Let's create a headline to support that call to action. So again, we look at the ad copy and we simply write, get your price quote on a new Toyota Camry now, because we know that he's typed in keywords that he's looking in for a Toyota Camry, and those keywords were dynamically inserted into that paid search ad. So that becomes our headline. Very simple. This took no creativity on our part. We're simply just creating the most relative landing page possible. Then we incorporated a little bit of creativity, and we determined, what do we want this customer to do? Do we want them to text us? Do we want them to print something? Do we want them to come into the dealership? For this particular campaign, we wanted them to complete a form. So we add a form, and we then add our call to action to be prominently displayed. Now we need a little bit of subheading, a little creative copy, a couple of bullet points to express the value of what's in it for them if they complete this form. So we decided to say that, brand of the dealership, we have the best prices in Texas, internet price guarantee. Here I recommend no more than a couple sentences, 2, maximum 3 bullet points. Then we wanted to try and add some social proof. So this is a great area to add some testimonials. You could add a DealerOn widget, or you could add some social signals here, such as Facebook or Google+. Then again, we want to try to stimulate the reptilian brain, and we know the reptilian brain really likes images and videos. So we're going to show a picture of what's being offered. In this case, it's a Toyota Camry. This image is a little out of date, but you'd be able to find, I'm sure, a picture of a new Camry. And our secondary call to action would be a phone number, and we'll put that in an area where it does not compete with our primary goal of collecting that person's contact information. And what you just saw in 6 easy steps is how to create a very targeted and high-performing landing page on a PPC ad, and you can use this exact formula for every model that you sell. All you have to do is dynamically swap out one photo for another, and then change the ad copy to say new Toyota Camry to be new Toyota Corolla, Prius, so on and so forth. And there's some very easy code you can add to your landing page that will detect that information and dynamically display the appropriate images and calls to action on that page. And there you go, 6 simple steps on how to create an effective landing page. Now that you've created an effective landing page, rather than going out and spending your hard-earned advertising budget to determine how effective that landing page is, I recommend a website, a free tool out there called 5secondtest.com. And what I'd like to do is, if someone in the audience could volunteer to be a participant on this 5-second test, I'm going to show you a home page for about 5 seconds. Then I'm going to ask you some questions about that home page and see how you answer them, and that will help us determine the effectiveness of this 5-second test on your home page, and maybe there's some things we may want to consider changing on this home page prior to start testing it with actual advertising budget.
Ah, that's a great
Ariana, give me a volunteer that's willing to answer 3 questions for me.
Yeah, that's a great idea. If there is an audience member out there right now, and I know some of you have already written in, but you have to make sure that you have a microphone, because I'm actually going to unmute you. So write back into me one more time and tell me you have a microphone and you're willing to be a volunteer. It's going to be a very cool cool test that we're going to do. It's a 5-second test, and we do have some people who said they could do it. Okay, let me see what this gentleman's name is. Michael Spiegel, you are my guy. Hold on one second. I'm going to unmute you. And Michael, are you there?
Yes, I am.
Oh, Michael, thank you so much for joining us for today's little experiment. We're glad to have you. So, Amir, we have Michael here. Now, just for the record, Michael, could you tell us what dealership you're with?
Wesley Chapel Honda.
Wesley Chapel Honda. Very nice to have you here. Thank you so much for joining in and being our little guinea pig today. Okay, Amir, tell Michael what he has to do.
All right. Now, I know, Michael, and I know how savvy you are, so we may want to modify this to a 3-second test so that it can be a better representation of the general public. But Michael, I'm going to show you a homepage design, and I'm going to only flash it up for a few seconds. Then I'm going to ask you some questions about that homepage to try to determine whether the general public, within 5 seconds, will be able to determine some very important messages that we want to convey about this page. So here we go.
And of course, everyone else who's on the call, just play along like you're doing it live. So check out this 5-second test. Whoa!
All right, that wasn't quite 5 seconds. That was
a
little bit shorter, but
yeah, that was a little too quick.
All right. I'm sorry, because I'm on a delay, so I gave you no time at all. I'm sorry, I got a 5-second delay. Here we go.
Check it out.
All right. Michael, what do you remember about that page?
In regards to...
Just the first thing that you can remember that pops up to you, pops in your head.
There was a mechanic. It was some sort of service page.
Okay, perfect. There's no right or wrong answer. All this will do is help us gauge if this page is doing an effective job in conveying what we want the consumer to do when they arrive there. So if you got the fact that it had something to do with service and fixing your car, then we did a good job at least in displaying what the purpose of the site is. Now, do you know what you can do on that website right off the top of your head?
I would imagine that I could get some pricing on some service.
Okay. There were some offers on that page that offered pricing information on service, but the main call to action on that page may not have stood out to you the way it should, because there's one real specific thing we want customers to do or to see within 3 to 4 seconds of landing on that page, and that was to schedule a service appointment. And then the last question that 5-second test would help you answer is, who is this site for?
No idea.
And that would be service customers, obviously. All right, I'm going to go back to that site real quickly. And if you see here, the main headline on the site was schedule service online anytime, where we have an orange button, make an appointment. But you see there's a lot of other navigation on the page. There's videos. There are specials. So some of this other stuff may have distracted you from this main call to action up here. So that could be something that we might consider before launching this website as a potential distraction. And I think the other questions, which were who the site was for and what you remember, I think we got those messages across pretty clearly. So if there was one critique I could give this website, would be make what this website is designed, what you intend the customer to do when they get to the website, a little bit more prominent, and maybe reduce the distraction of some of the other elements on this page. So if you go to 5secondtest.com, you can upload any page on your website and the questions you want answered, and somebody within about 5 minutes, or a lot of somebody's, hundreds and thousands of marketers out there will answer those questions for you, and you can get some real-time data, and there's no charge for it.
Oh, that's really, really cool. Okay, I want to thank Michael and everyone else who volunteered or, tried to volunteer today for this little experiment of ours. But Michael, thank you so much, and if you could send me your mailing address, I'll send you something nice in the mail just for your participation. We do appreciate it. Thank you.
Thanks, guys.
All right, take care.
Thanks, Michael. All right, so I'm going to give you a couple of more tools for your toolbox, and then we're going to wrap up shortly and get to some question and answer. But one thing to keep in mind is do not take the 5-second test as a usability test on your website. These are mostly web designers and graphic artists and marketing people out there willing to give you some free feedback on your website prior to you running your own test. Okay, so remember, very few percentage of the people that are going to be using your website are in the online marketing business. So make sure and design your websites, for your target audience. And what I do is I design sites for this lady right here. Okay, this is not my grandma, but this is someone's grandma. And if your website can speak to her, and if she can figure out how to perform certain tasks on your website and what your site is designed to do, then chances are your target audience will also. So a great way to determine whether your site is too complicated or your message is being convoluted is show the page to your grandmother and ask her to perform a task and ask her to speak out loud what she's doing. And if it's too complicated for her to do in a very short period of time, it's probably too complicated for your target audience to do. Another very effective tool, and the tools I'm going to talk to you right now, these are third-party tools that conversion optimization experts outside of our business, they use these tools on a day-to-day basis. They're low-cost tools, and they will work with most any automotive website platform, provided the company you use is flexible and willing to let you add a snippet of code to your site. So the first one that I really like is called Crazy Egg. Now, if you use Google Analytics, you will get a lot of the same functionality as Crazy Egg, but Crazy Egg is basically a more specific to conversion rate optimization form of Google Analytics. It lets you get really granular and be able to optimize your forms and track abandons on your specific form fields. It gives you heat maps, click maps. It gives you anything you'd want to know about how to optimize your landing pages or your home pages for that matter for less than $10 a month. The next one that I recommend is called usertesting.com. Usertesting.com basically gives you access to a wide network of grandmas. These are people out there that are willing to go through your website and perform a task. What I do regularly with usertesting.com is I will ask them to go in and find a lease payment on a Honda Accord, and I want to watch you do that, or go get me a price quote, or go get me something that's not really extremely complicated, but it's not very easy to do either. And then you say, I want someone to do this that's between the ages of 18 and 35, or I want someone over 65. I want them to be in California. And basically, usertesting.com will find this individual. He will go through and conduct that task. He'll do it wearing a microphone, and he will narrate out loud every step as he does it. And it's only about $39 to have a test conducted for you. Usually get the results back in an hour. And it will give you huge insights to how everyday consumers are interacting with your website. Walmart and Target and a lot of Fortune 500 companies are running hundreds of tests per month to make sure that their websites are user-friendly. Now, we talked about A/B testing software. Again, if you happen to have a website that does not allow you does not have an integrated website optimizing functionality built into your platform, you can go out and buy a third-party product and add it to your site. And this is Visual Website Optimizer, one that I happen to like because of its price point. You can get an introductory package here for less than $100 per month. And it allows you to run as many tests as you want. And like I said, you do not need to be a graphic designer or a programmer, no Photoshop or HTML. It's all click and drag, and you can go in there and start adding and removing images, icons, buttons, and seeing what impact it has on your overall conversion rate. Then share that data with your website provider so that you'll be able to leverage the value of your tests. And this is kind of an example of what some of the reports will come back and look like. And that is my presentation. I thank you all from the bottom of my heart for taking the time out of your extremely busy schedules to listen to me ramble for almost an hour, and I'd be happy to answer any questions you may have at this time.
Oh, and let me tell you, Amir, we do have some great questions from the audience, so thank you so much. Audience, keep those questions coming. We're going to get to them in just a minute. Before we get to the questions, though, we have some business to take care of, don't we, Amir?
Oh, yeah. I forgot about this part. I was hoping you would remind me.
How could you forget this? I have never, ever given away something worth so much money. So I'm very, very excited. I'm putting on my mental, Monty Hall hat right now because we're going to be giving away a prize. Now, just in case you missed it at the very top of the webinar, I announced that DealerOn is awarding one lucky attendee to this webinar with a free franchise website on DealerOn's award-winning platform. It's for 1 full year, no strings attached, and that is an $18,000 prize. So,
all right, Eliana, bear with me 1 second so that I can.
We're just going to randomly pick somebody.
Well, this is going to be randomly selected through our marketing department, and they're supposed to have texted me a winner, someone on this call. And
okay, good luck, everyone. You have to be here to win it.
Okay. We have a winner, and I'm going to do my best to pronounce this name, but the first name is Val. The last name is Kunchev from Del Grande Automotive Group in the Bay Area, Northern California. Congratulations. We will build, design, and optimize any store within your group website for 1 year, 100% at our expense. Thank you for being on this webinar and participating in this, and I hope that you get 1 year of some excellent value from this award.
Thank you so much. And Val, congratulations. Very, very happy for you. And thank you, everyone, for participating as well. Just to let everyone know, you have a second chance at winning this exact same prize by visiting our booth at NADA. That's booth 3259. Everyone who comes to our booth talks to one of our people, they can register to win the exact same prize. So we hope to see you in Orlando very, very soon. Okay, Amir.
Now, Val, if you're out there, you will be hearing from someone, Chris Deringer from our marketing department, and he'll give you all the details about building your website and what we intend on doing together. So congratulations.
He already wrote in and said thank you. So Val, congratulations. Looking forward to working with you on this. Okay, let's start off with a few questions. Are you ready, Amir?
I am. Let me just get myself a little sip of water.
Yeah, get that and move on to the next page so people can see your really, we got to get you a new headshot. I'm just going to keep riding on you until we get this new headshot for you. I
got to give them an accurate portrayal.
This is the best photograph we have of dear Amir. Okay, first question comes to us. Actually, a couple people had the same question, so I'm going to give everyone the props for it. Michael wrote in, does DealerOn offer A/B testing software? And Allison wrote in, what do you recommend if my website provider doesn't offer A/B testing? So I think they really appreciated all of this testing that we've been doing for our clientele. So what can we advise to Allison and Mike?
Okay, so basically the answer is yes. We do offer the full A/B testing capabilities as part of our platform. This is a new initiative for us, and we're announcing this tomorrow at NADA. So yes, we can do that, and if your website provider does not offer the ability to do that, you really have two options. One of them we discussed in the presentation was to go out there and purchase a third-party website optimization package and ask your website provider to accept that snippet of code from that company so that you can conduct split tests on your own website, which is probably a little more expense, time, and hassle that most people are willing to invest. So the other option would be to find a website company that really is committed to usability and conversion optimization and sign up with that company instead.
All right, Allison, Mike, I hope that helped you out. Our next question comes to us from Dimitri. He says, shouldn't there be a reason behind why you are making a change? Do you need to create a hypothesis first? So before you did all this testing, this was just, I wonder, how did you come up with all these different case studies to do?
That was a wonderful question, and the answer to that question is absolutely. And the way you want to conduct your tests should be basically look at your analytics. Use that as a guide. Look at the pages on your platform where there might be a bottleneck. If you have an unusually high bounce rate on a particular page on your platform, if you have a high abandon rate, if you have a page that gets a lot of traffic, obviously your home page, your vehicle details page, which is the point of conversion, those would be the areas you want to start developing your hypothesis. And if you look at the site and you think that there might be a possibility that there is some anxiety created by a specific image on your page, or there is something that takes away from the clarity of what you're supposed to do, develop a hypothesis and then test it. So some of the things that I went through with the human brain and the neuroscience, those are some great places to start looking at your prices and start looking at the way you display your inventory and which vehicles you display first. And all these different things are great opportunities to develop your own hypothesis. I was hoping to give you a couple of ideas of tests that we ran to give you ideas on what you could run on your own.
Oh, well, Dimitri has some more follow-up questions. We'll get to those in a minute. So, Dimitri, I hope that helped you out. Jim has a question for you. He says, is there a hard and fast rule for picking a button color, and does it really make a difference? So, is there, I know you said, oh, orange, green, red, but no, not really.
Well, okay, so I would definitely stay within one of those three colors. So enough tests have been done across verticals and across, different channels that shows that if you have an orange, green, or red button, those would probably be the ones I would start testing and creating a hypothesis around. But I would really consider the color scheme of your existing site and use something that has some contrast. So if you're primarily red color look and feel to your website, don't use a red call to action because it won't create the same type of contrast as maybe an orange or green would. So try that, but the whole point of this presentation was for you not to accept this sort of advice and to invest in this software and start to conduct a minimum of 2 tests per month for yourself.
Great, great. Well, thank you for that, Amir. Jim, I hope that helped you out. Our next question comes to us from Helene. Helene wants to know, for the pricing, would it help to show what specific incentives and rebates you're removing from the MSRP?
Excellent question, and we believe that it will help. It will help substantiate the value of the price and how you arrived at your specific discount. I did not test it by itemizing out the incentive information, but if I had to guess, and it's something that I think is very much worthy of running a test, I think it would be more effective than just arbitrarily coming up with a number.
Okay, thank you. Helene, we're going to be hearing from you in another minute. We have a pretty long question from Dimitri again. He said, the case study, when we talked about removing all the calls to action buttons on the vehicle's details page, he said, did you test a single VDP or all the VDPs on that website. He wants to find a software that will let him run A/B testing on all his VDPs and not just a single VDP.
Yeah, well, absolutely. Obviously, if we had only tested one VDP on that platform, it would take me 2.5 years to reach statistical significance. So you'll have to test every single VDP in order to be able to determine the effectiveness of that test. And the software program that I recommended in the toolbox, Visual Website Optimizer, does give you the functionality to very easily do that.
Ah, that's great. He already wrote in, thank you. So thank you, Dimitri. Okay.
You just create a rule, and that rule automatically carries on to every single vehicle details page on your platform.
Oh, that's nice. All right. Next question comes to us from Helene. She says, another question, how do you have the banner image change depending on entry source versus search? So I think this was going back to when you had the home page and had a rotating banner.
Yep. A great question. So the way that we do it and recommend that you try is basically when you search on Google, whether you click on a organic listing or a paid ad, Google will deliver to the website the referring keywords. So Google will communicate to your website provider, so to speak, what that person searched for and clicked on. And then all you have to do is dynamically display a banner that coincides with what they clicked on or searched for. So if Google tells us that the customer searched for new Camry, we'll display a new Camry banner. If Google tells us it's a service inquiry, we'll display a service banner. So it does require some integration work between your website provider and Google Analytics.
And that's, of course, assuming you have a banner for your service department, right?
Right. You'd have to create those in advance, and then the Google would then just indicate to you which banner you should display and when.
Okay. Helene, I hope that helped you out. She already wrote in thanks. She said gotcha. Okay. So we got to wrap this thing up. So let's do this one last question, again, from Dimitri. He says, we tested pay-per-click landing pages similar to yours and found that people want to see the live inventory before submitting a lead. Any thoughts?
Yeah. Again, there is most of the automotive pay-per-click ads that are being run right now effectively are dropping people on either an inventory search page on the actual website, or they're dropping people on a specific vehicle details page. We think that if you have an optimized vehicle details page, that Dimitri's recommendation is probably the best option out there. The problem is a lot of dealer websites are not that well designed for conversion, and a lot of people cannot control exactly what the user experience is when you land on that specific page. So another alternative would be to drop them onto a dynamically changing landing page like I showed you guys how to build, and that could be more effective in some instances and less effective in some instances depending upon what your existing website looks like. An idea to test would be to provide a link from that landing page to actual inventory, so if somebody wanted to actually look at that specific dealer's live inventory, they could link from there to that particular page. But if you're not confident with your current vehicle details page layout and don't want to send $6,000, $8,000 worth of clicks to that particular page, then using a landing page like the one I showed you how to build might be a better option.
Fantastic. Amir, thank you so much. This is a really fantastic presentation. Thank you so much, and thank you everyone for coming on to today's webinar and participating in a very, very interesting presentation. Of course, if you have any follow-up questions for Amir, feel free to contact him directly. His contact information is up there. And I want to also remind the audience that a link to download a copy of today's webinar recording is also going to be emailed to you later today for your reference, and please feel free to share it with friends and colleagues. And we're also going to be posting this webinar recording online within 24 hours. All you have to do is go to DealerOn.com/webinars and view our upcoming webinar schedule there too. And at the conclusion of this webinar, in just a minute, you're going to receive a short survey, so please fill it out. We're always looking for great feedback from you, our valued audience. And today we're going to randomly select some winners from all the completed surveys to also win some Google prizes. And don't forget, DealerOn is going to be at the NADA convention starting tomorrow. And if you're going to be there, well, we want to see you. Come and visit us at booth 3259. Amir, you're going to show them that slide, right? Because they got to see all the information. Great. Thank you. So it's booth 3259. So many reasons to come and visit us. Talk about websites, SEO. I mean, it could be, you could talk about anything with us. You could get a ticket to our NADA's Ultimate Party at the Blue Martini Nightclub, or you could register for our grand prize, which is a free franchise website for 1 full year valued at $18,000. And if you're going to be at NADA, you need to come and visit Jeff Clark at one of his speaking sessions. He is going to be talking about digital strategies to double your fixed ops profits. Who doesn't need that kind of help? Jeff Clark is, of course, a member of the DealerOn team. He's the Executive Vice President of Business Development, and you can see all the different times and days and places where he will be speaking on this very important subject. So we really hope we get to see you at booth 3259. Now, invitations are going to be going out tomorrow for our next webinar. Get more Facebook love. Forget the likes. On Valentine's Day, we only want the love. This will be on February 14th. So the question is, do you know how to get more love out of your dealership's Facebook page? Alexi Veneri does. She's the co-founder and chief operating officer of Digital Airstrike, and her name is synonymous with automotive social media. And she's going to tell you what top dealers are doing to get more likes, more engagement, and yes, more sales from Facebook. So if you're looking to get the most out of your Facebook page, then this is the webinar for you. This will be another fabulous presentation by your friends at DealerOn. And don't forget, DealerOn's weekly webinars are held every Thursday, 12 noon Eastern, 9 a.m. Pacific. And we have some great webinar subjects planned for this year, but if you have any questions, comments, or suggestions regarding these webinars and our topics, please feel free to contact me directly. My name is Eliana Raggio. I love hearing from you. I'm on all the automotive social networks. Track me down online or email me at eliana@dealeron.com. Thank you all so very much for spending this time with us today, and we hope to see you all on a future webinar in our continuing education series. Have yourselves a good one.